Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Teacher Talks. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Holmes. Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. We are in the holiday season, so I'm hoping that you guys are spirited. I hope that you guys have already started decorating. If you have not, come on, put something up. If you're not going to put up the tree, put up maybe a wreath, or maybe put up your garland, or maybe put up a small tree with some lights on it. But it's Christmas, okay? I know it's 2020. I know it's a pandemic. I know it's been difficult, but I think decorating and getting into the holiday spirit may help boost your confidence, boost your spirits, bring a little joy to you during this difficult time. So, if you haven't decorated, I encourage you to do so. Do something. And make sure you talk to people who are going to give you encouragement and keep you lifted up and keep you smiling and keep you laughing during this time, okay? The holidays can be very difficult for a lot of people, as we always focus on loss in our lives or things that we have not achieved or accomplished. And it makes us sad. So we want to be in a different space during this season. And so enjoy the holidays, enjoy your time with your family, enjoy your time with your friends. And for God's sake, if you don't have a tree up, put up something. For the love of God, put something up, all right? Now, as I always say, it is 9 o'clock. I hope that the kids are down because it is time for us to catch up. So, as you guys can see from the topic today, we are talking about why were not all the schools across this country ready for virtual slash Distance learning. That's the conversation. Do I have all the answers? No. That's why I have you here. So if you are on YouTube right now, you got to do three things for me. Click like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. And as we talk, I want you to get into the comment sections. If you are on Facebook, I need you in the comment sections and share this with somebody. You can start a small group, get this out here. We are having education, what we call teacher talks, every Thursday, 9 o'clock with me. And tonight I have a guest. So I just can't do this by myself. I have to always bring in somebody who is actually in the field doing the work that can maybe bring a better perspective, a real perspective, a relevant perspective, a current perspective to what we're talking about. And this evening, I have invited the one, the only, the magnificent, the beautiful, the wonderful, the spirited, the down to earth, the approachable, the one of Alpha Kappa Alpha, Miss Shiona Drummer. Dr. Drummer, are you there? Are you there? Are you there? There she is. Dr. Drummer, how are you doing this evening? We can see her, but we can't hear her. There she is.
Okay. I am this evening, and I truly appreciate that introduction. I could do with that every day, and thank you.
I will write it down, I will record it, and I will send it to you on a daily apparatus so you can have it at your disposal. And whenever you introduce,
Thank you.
you
I
want
appreciate you.
everybody that introduces you to introduce you the same way. Tell them if you're going to introduce me, this is the way to do it. If it's not going to be at this level, don't even try it. You
That's
deserve it.
right. That's right. Don't even try it.
So,
Thank you.
Dr. Drummer, I always call her Dr. Drummer, and that just kind of leads me into the next question, or the next thing I would like for you to do is to just kind of share a little bit with us about who you are and your background in education.
All right. Well, I am in my 14th year, and I have had the pleasure of working in two school districts, and I am currently serving of instructional technology specialist. At role, I do some teachers, administrators, parents, and manage the technology for the district. So that's what I am currently doing as far as professionally, and I'm also my goal of bettering myself and getting my terminal degree. There we go.
And so you said 14 years in the field.
Yes, sir.
And you don't look a bit over 28.
Want to keep you?
There
Want
she
to
is.
keep you, doctor? Wait a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
No, you're back. We can see you. Tell us, introduce your little fella right there. Let us know who he is, because he has to be known.
Okay.
And so we want to give him his fair introduction.
So,
You're a little delayed, so I can barely. You're going in and out. Maybe I don't want to say you're delayed or I can't hear you. You're frozen at this very moment. Are you there? As I'm talking to her, I'm looking at her bandwidth, guys, and it's kind of low. That could be why she's having some issues with the connectivity. So while we're trying to get her back in the game, um, let me kind of share with you why I thought this was an interesting topic. So, as all of you that watch consistently know, I am a consultant, and so I do serve in different capacities as a consultant in schools and school districts across the country, mainly here in the Southeast. Um, and I have observed many challenges as it relates to what teachers and administrators are going through currently in their schools, be it face to face, virtual learning, or a combination of the two. Now, what I have seen specifically with virtual learning are many challenges. One being that some of the technology that they are using is fairly new technology in the school, and so there is a changing of mindsets. There is a learning shift for teachers and for students where they're having to be more familiar with the technology that they're having to use to instruct and that they're having to use to learn. So that's part of what I'm seeing, but that's not the guiding question for tonight. But I did want to mention that many schools, many school districts are using technology in a new way, or it's new technology for them to have to use it mainly for the purpose of direct instruction, right? So not that face-to-face instruction. They're using the virtual platforms, distance learning platforms, to be the primary source to teach, and that is new. But the driving question for tonight is not that if they're using it. The question is, why weren't they all prepared to use it prior to the pandemic happening? And let me tell you why I asked that question, Dr. Drummer. Since you're here, you're going to be a part of the conversation. I asked that question because roughly, so let's go back. I like to do a little research and I like to read. I specifically love education research, especially as it relates to policy. So in the late 1980s, 1990s, President Clinton passed a bill to increase the infrastructure of internet across the country. So since the start of that, we've basically gone through 4 administrations as we talked about the need for internet use, specifically for education. And in part of the policy, sections of that money were to be used for schools and school districts to amp up their technology use, their internet use in the buildings for the purpose of instruction. So that was 4 administrations ago, more than 20 years ago. And here we are in a pandemic, and we have observed and witnessed schools, school districts, teachers, and parents struggle with the use of technology for the purpose of education. The question is, how is that if we had already put things in place to try to amp up to ensure the fidelity of technology usage in our schools? So what has been either the barrier or what has been additional factors that has not prioritized technologically, how do I want to use it? Instructional technology to support students' needs and teachers' practices. So, Dr. Drum, I'm going to start with you, and I'm just going to simply ask you, in your experience since the pandemic, so since the start of this year, what have you seen happen for schools and school districts in their efforts to, let's take it back. No, we're not even going to start there. We're going to start before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, how were schools, in your experience, using technology for instruction and education?
I can recall being a classroom teacher about 3 years ago. And for me, while technology was a large part of my instructional practice, my pedagogy, it wasn't the main focus. And I can
Mm,
say that I felt that I was pretty proficient at using technology in my classroom. I wasn't afraid to let my students get in there and use it and show me, and we learned together. We were getting better together. But it was an option, Dr. Holmes.
okay.
And so when it came
Option.
to
And so when you say option, you're saying it was an option that was coming from administration.
right now, we were supposed to have it incorporated into our lesson plans and
Mhm.
things of that nature. But, as we all know, what you put on paper and what you actually put in practice can always be two different things. So, go ahead.
No, I want you to continue because I'm going to follow up. I have a lot of follow-ups when people talk. So that's why I love doing this, because I love to talk and I love to like ask deeper questions.
Okay, okay. So I ended up getting, like I said, more proficient. And then when I started the position, I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, hold on
No,
one
we
second.
love it. Now you have
Okay.
broken the rule of 9 o'clock. The kids should be down.
Well, clearly, I am paying for it in this moment. But okay, as I get wrestled down. Okay, so can you hold on one second?
We love it. And then she muted, so you know what she was doing, guys. She was reprimanding and disciplining her child. She didn't want to do it publicly. We love it. That's awesome.
Dr. Holmes, my apologies. Okay, so in the capacity of instructional technology coach. Okay, hold on. Let me just give me 1 second. Just
Okay, so you go ahead. I'm gonna keep it going. So what she's saying is the one thing that she said that was of interest to me is that technology usage in the classroom was an option. So it was available to teachers, but it was an option. And so when she comes back, one of the things I want to ask her is why does she think the use of technology, although it had been purchased, hundreds of thousands of dollars has been spent on technology in schools and school districts, right? And there is an option to use it. It's encouraged based on what she's saying, but it was still optional for you to do so. Okay, so she's back. We're gonna let her pick up where she left off, and then
okay.
we'll dive a little bit deeper.
And my apologies.
No, no,
Uh,
no apologies needed.
okay, so let me explain what I mean by optional. So it was expected that we would
Hmm.
incorporate it, okay, and it was even inspected from time to time.
Okay.
Again, we were to have it on our lesson plans and be able to show evidence if prompted to.
Hmm.
But I think for a lot of people, it boils down to comfort.
Okay.
And some people, technology is always changing. There are always new apps, always new platforms that people can access and use in different ways. And I think it's a couple of things. Maybe it's two-pronged. One, the comfort level. And then two, I think a lot of times being in the classroom, it always seems like one more thing.
Okay.
So if people are
Yeah.
accustomed to, just the old school way of teaching, not necessarily a sit and get, I'm not saying like
Hmm.
that, but if they're used to doing it without the technology tools for teaching, then
Okay.
that's they're probably more comfortable doing and they're more likely to do unless they are supported in such a way that they will feel better about incorporating it. Now, the other thing is um, when you ask why wasn't everyone ready, again, I think that it's a situation where we definitely didn't see this coming down the line. Some people
Hmm.
were ready, but a lot of us, and I do include myself, just were not ready to this. We weren't expecting this. We weren't ready on this level.
Hmm.
So I think that it goes back to those 2 points about your comfort level and also I guess, your outlook on it.
And so here's another question, and I'm always looking in the chats because I want to make sure that I'm helping people be a part of the conversation. So hello, Mrs. Jackson. Hello, Mrs. Patterson. Thank you guys for joining. Good evening. Good evening. Make sure you get this out here if you're on, or you both are on YouTube. So you know what I want you to do: like, share, and subscribe, and then get in the comment sections. I can read everything that you say on YouTube, so I want you to get in the comments because, like right now, Miss Jackson, you says good evening. And so I want to say to you, good evening. Thank you for joining. Miss Patterson, you said it's a good day, baby. Well, thank you, Mama. It is a good day. For everybody that doesn't know, this is my mother. I've interviewed her before. She kind of told us a story on school desegregation going through the South in the 70s. And so we loved her. You guys loved her. So thank you for sharing, Mother. And thank you for joining again. I know you guys will continue to get in the comment section as you always do. And my beautiful sister, you always bring the funny. So I can't wait for you to say something that's going to keep us cracking up. So let's keep going. So I want to get into the conversation of um, comfortability. Talk to us a little bit about professional development as it relates to providing teachers with the support they need to be ready to use technology.
So, in terms of professional development, um, one of the platforms that we currently use is Zoom. And although Zoom wasn't necessarily designed for education, it has proved to be very helpful. We are transitioning over, however, from Zoom to Google Meet, and it's another meeting platform. We do professional. I've made sure that we've had professional development on both of those platforms, as well as how to use within how to use forms and quizzes for quick assessment, and also how to just make sure that students know how to use Google Docs and things of that nature to
Hmm.
collaborate. I love Flipgrid, making sure that the students know that they have a voice in the classroom, even if they wouldn't normally talk. They can use a Flipgrid video to express themselves. So we've had professional development of those things. And I think that all in all, the professional development, nothing's going to replace just good flat foot teaching.
Hmm.
But you can always have extra resources in place to kind of support that and even augment it. So um, those are the things that we focus on: hard hitting um, support systems like Flipgrid, um, all of the Google Suite apps, things like that, so that teachers can quickly get their students engaged.
Now, so you were breaking up
Okay,
just a little bit, but
okay,
I don't know, something may have been blocking your microphone. But this also, this what you said was valuable, and the one point that you said was it's important to use technology because it does provide an avenue to bring kids in to be more engaged in the lessons. But you said it does not take the place of good flat-footed teaching. Good
that's right.
teaching is good teaching, whether you have technology or not. Technology is a great tool to deepen and enhance and engage students in learning. But the teacher themselves are the primary deliverer of the knowledge. I stand by that 125,000%. I agree with that. I agree with that. But what we have seen is this. Now let's go deeper now. What we have seen is that there are school districts that were already implementing technology on a one-to-one basis. It's like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Every student had a one-to-one device, and they were using that technology to demonstrate their understanding, to display their work as a tool instead of a PowerPoint. They were actually doing presentations with rubrics and being graded on that, right? So my experience is this. I have worked in only Title I settings for the majority of my career, the first probably 80, 90, 85, 90% of my career. Is there technology in the buildings? Yes. Dr. Drummer, have you worked in Title I settings? I'm talking about, when I say Title I, that means low impoverished, black and brown settings. Okay?
Yeah,
Has there been technology in the building?
yeah.
Was the technology used on a consistent daily basis?
I'm not going to say yes to that.
Can't
No.
say yes. Now, it may, don't get me wrong. Was it being used? Yes. There are
Yeah.
some people that love technology. They use it every day. Every day. There are some people that aren't very comfortable and they use certain parts of it when they need it. So, like you said, if it's an online quiz or an activity that they know how to use, that's their go to. They'll use that. But if it's something they're not very familiar with, they're not going to use it in the specific way it may have been designed to be used. So that has been a problem. And so now in the space that we're in, March 2020, students are removed from school buildings. They are now learning virtually from home using technology as a platform. And so for these black and brown, low impoverished students that have the technology in the building, but they haven't used it with fidelity, they now have to use it as the single method for instruction. That was a problem. Now, if we go back, the question is, why was it a problem? You made me sit up. I can lean forward in my seat. I got so excited. Let me sit back. Let me calm down. The question is, why was it a problem? And you will remember this. About 10 years ago, we had this strong push across the nation for 21st century global economy learning. And one of the tenets of that was the use of technology in the classroom. It was a big push. That's when everybody was buying iPads, everybody was buying laptop carts, everybody had technology. But what happened was they purchased it, but it was never being used. It was sitting in closets or being used by people that knew how to use it. And although there was professional development provided, a one hit deal of professional learning may not get you what you want to see in the classroom. So, from your perspective, you are working with schools and teachers on instructional technology as a coach. What do you see as one of the things that's inhibiting the people that you work with from being effective as it relates to using technology as an instructional platform?
Well, one thing I can definitely say is that going back to uh, your comment about the push for incorporating technology and 21st century technology readiness uh, into the curricula. One thing about it, a lot of the schools, from what I understand, are technology rich, resource rich. But on the other end of that, you have to have people who are willing to use the resources. As you said, they can't be purchased and left in closets and whatnot. But also, the other point, the main inhibitor that I've seen is the mindset. And again, it goes back to that comfort piece. Some people don't see the value in um, using online for educating their students. They say, I've been doing it this way. It's been working. I'm going to stick with what works. And when a pandemic hits and you can no longer do that in person, face to face instruction, then we're all caught in the situation uh, of reacting rather than being not even proactive. We should have been on this board, on this. We should have been aboard on this train all along. But you kind of fake the funk as long as you can, and it's encouraged, um, it's expected, but there's still some wiggle room there. People are going to do what they're comfortable with, and I think it just goes back to that. So I would have to say the main inhibitor would be the mindset.
The mindset. Now, everybody that knows, this is what I do. So when you get into the mindset, you get into the belief system and the culture of the building, right? So when I say there may be a building and there are a few teachers using technology, that speaks to the culture of the building, right? This is not a building that uses technology as a source to provide instruction for students. That's just the culture of the building. They believe in a traditional mindset, old mindset, outdated mindset, irrelevant type of teaching that may not connect to all of their students. Now, I do have parents on here. So, parents, I do want you to get involved in the conversation because you too are now using technology in a way you've never used it before. So this is not Facebook, IG, Snapchat, anything like that, or YouTube. This is actual learning platforms. That's not your typical way of navigating through the internet. It has a divine purpose. And now you have to also learn what your children are doing and the way that they're doing it so that you can support them because they're home with you. They're home with you. Millions of children have yet to return to a school building. And the facility of learning is their current living address. That's some. Now, some are having to go to other places like restaurant parking lots to connect to the internet because there's not enough bandwidth in the neighborhood because they're so impoverished, not enough people in the community even have internet. They don't have enough internet that they're stretching the bandwidth so much that kids can't even log on to the school assigned computer and do their work. The computers are locking up on them, or they're so slow that everything is delayed. I don't think everybody understands the problem that we're dealing with. And I want to address the issues of social and emotional learning, but we can't overshadow the fact that some kids aren't learning, period, when it comes to school because they don't have access. It's an issue of access. And that leads me to the conversation of equity. Equality is, yes, everybody got a computer. Equity is they have one, but everybody can't access the computer because of other issues that inhibit them from learning. So we have to talk about that. And when we talk about internet access and the use of instructional technology, there is an equity issue. There is an equity issue, and we have to face the fact. Like some people say, there is no racism. That's like saying slavery didn't exist. Slavery existed. And if you want to deny the fact that that existed, then that gives you a foundation to deny other things, like the issue of equity and systematic racism and oppression, because we won't face the facts with reality and with honesty. And what I'm saying is we have students that are not getting the type of learning that they need. One, because we haven't done our job at the school level. One, we never saw the foresight of this happening, but we never really took the bull by the horn to embrace technology. And now we have people that can't use it, and that's going to impact the quality of learning that our students are receiving and the type of instruction or the quality of instruction that our teachers are delivering. That's a double whammy, people. That's a double whammy. And we have people like Miss Drummer here, whose job is to go in and in some way motivate and encourage those who are reluctant to embrace it. It's like trying to hug a bear, though. It's so big. If you don't feel like you can wrap your arms around it, sometimes you're quick to say, you know what, it's not worth it. First of all, it's dangerous. I'm uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar territory. And I would rather just wait and maybe try at a different time, but not now. But this is your only option. So, Dr. Drummer, how do you encourage people? Because you love technology. I've seen you use it. I know you love it. I know you use it. How do you encourage those that are reluctant to use it or those who just flat out don't use it to say, hey, at this moment, you really don't have a choice? Let me help you. What do you say to them?
And I start there. I definitely um, make sure that the people that I'm helping, whether it's teachers or parents or whomever, understand that, we all have had to pivot and make sure that we are prepared to serve these children as best we can. And one way that we're going to have to do that is through acquiring the skills needed to be proficient in technology usage. I mean, I don't see anything going back exactly as it was before, even if uh, if all the students return to the school building. So I currently teach at Cirrus Academy, and at Cirrus, our students have not come back yet. They're scheduled to come back January 6th, and I can say that because we are a smaller campus, I'm able to work with teachers more directly. We interact often, and it's just a situation of, I'll set a training date, they'll come, and we'll take it from there. But one thing I also make sure, besides the fact that, uh, hey, this is the situation we're currently in, we have to do our very best, our level best, is that they understand. I make sure they understand that it is a safe space for them to learn and grow with me, because someone had to take the time to teach me and to be patient with me. And I never want them, under all the other pressures that they have going, to feel that this is one more thing added to their plate. Because the same way that parents and students are feeling pressure, teachers are just, they were overwhelmed before, and now it's just catastrophic. And there are a lot of people who have decided, well, if this is what's going to be required, I don't know that I can continue to do this, as you said earlier. So, and by that I mean they retire living, especially now. I just actually hung up with a friend of mine who's a teacher in a neighboring school district, and she was saying that she's working from home, and that because she works from home, she feels that she has to work probably twice as hard to prove that she's actually doing work. Now, no doubt, Teachers now are working, parents are working, everyone's working to try to meet the needs of our students. But I think that all in all, people need to know that they have a safe space to learn. And because everyone's not proficient, because if everyone were proficient, they would need an instructional technology coach or specialist. But that's not the case, and that's why am currently doing what I'm doing. But I think I think it all goes back to the mindset. So even if someone is not necessarily feeling the whole technology usage, they prefer the old school way they want to see their students. We all do. We would all prefer, that things went back to the way they were before. But
Mm-hmm.
being that things are currently the way they are, they still have to have a growth mindset. And so I encourage that. So I just try to work on the perception of technology,
Mm-hmm.
just the word of it. Some people just get a little antsy, and those are the people who I have found that benefit the most from just kind of like direct instruction kind of situation, just one on one. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I try to give them a safe space to learn.
And I think, first of all, I agree with you that a safe space is necessary. It's required for getting teachers out of their comfort zone to learn anything new, not just technology, but anything new. It needs to be a safe space to ask questions and make mistakes. Um, and I agree that more than likely, those that will try it, even if they don't do it well, are those that want to grow. They want to get better. And this has nothing to do with tenure or neophyte. This is just anybody who wants to learn the craft better than what they're currently doing it. Um, the other challenge for you and many other people that do what you do is that you're trying to provide support to teachers on technology through technology. So
Exactly.
you have to show them how to use it while
In order
using
to
it.
show them how to right.
And you're not with them to guide them physically on how to navigate through the platforms or how to use different pieces of software or resources. You can only do it virtually. And so that's going to create a certain level of disengagement because some people need they need that crutch, right? They need you right next to them so that when they have that question, they can tap you or raise their hand and say, "Hey, Mr. Drummer, I need you over here. I don't quite understand what you just did." And for those teachers, you may have people that feel like Ms. Holmes here who says, "I feel like my daughter is teaching herself." And so when you hear that, Ms. Drummer, what does that look like in your mind to you? When you hear that, what does that teaching, what does that instruction look like?
So you're talking about in terms of teachers, me supporting teachers virtually.
Or when you think of a parent, if you're a parent, so if you said, "I feel like my child is teaching himself," what would cause you to say that or make that
My
statement?
frustration. If I don't understand, it could be from how to get onto the platform that my son's teacher is using. If I don't know how to navigate through there, if they're using Google Classroom, if I don't know if he can do the work, but I don't know how to upload it. If it's been graded, but I don't know how to find where the comments are or the grade is. So I think that comes out of probably a place of frustration, but
Mm,
also that shows that there is an area of growth. And I think it all goes back to that growth mindset. A lot of parents have just really pulled out those capes and shown how much of superheroes they are, how strong they are, what they're made of, and they're trying. And a lot of parents are not educated, and they didn't necessarily sign up to be the main educator. We can never absolve parents of their duties and responsibilities to educate their children at home, and how important it is that no matter what the school, daycare, uh, somebody who watches kids, uh, what those places do, it is ultimately the parents' responsibility to make sure that their children are learning. And a lot of people are trying their level best, but they need support. But when I hear that, it sounds like they're probably speaking from a place of vulnerability and frustration. Um, you know, it would be a hard thing for me to say that my son is teaching. Uh, but if a parent is saying that, hopefully they're saying that because they're open to some support to help their child or their student. You there, Dr. Holmes? All right. So the thing about it is, um, for parents, a lot of times you have people who are out working. Um, they may have one child, they may have um, multiple children, and what's happening is they're having to juggle between their work life, home life, and again at the hat of educator, and that just doesn't work well for everyone. Some people, Johnny on the spot. Okay, I'm going to go here and get some resources from the school. I'm going to supplement that with some other resources. I have a younger child, so I don't know, maybe ABC Mouse, um, things of that nature. Just great. Um, undergoing a lot. Now uh, we can also talk about uh, teachers who uh, assign work for students or give students online work to do or offline work to do, and that's their main mode of instruction. That's an issue, and luckily I don't see that at my current place of employment. I do not, but I know that that's happening. And what's happening in that or with that is that a lot of times they are sending home packets or they're giving links to online worksheets or however they're doing it, but it falls back on um, the child, the parent and the child, to teach themselves, to teach their child, and to make it through. Now, again, on some level, parents are going to do what they have to do, no doubt. But on the other level, that child, no doubt, could benefit from good instruction from a um, from a good teacher. So uh, if a teacher is assigning work for their student and it's basically okay, this is week 3. Here's your week 3 packet. Turn your week 3 packet in on Friday. I send it out to you on Monday. We're failing our students, and so if that is the case, if that's being seen um, anywhere, then I would again recommend that parents supplement that learning with other resources. And there are plenty of technology tools out there for varying grade levels. Khan Academy is great. Um, things of that nature. They have Khan Academy for kids. All kind of different resources. If your school district or if their school district has access to things like Safari Montage, there are a lot of resources on there, uh, as well as other platforms. So I think good distance teaching would require one, a well mapped out lesson plan. Because just because it's online doesn't mean you click and add links to different websites or online resources and call it a day. It still requires good standards based teaching, and you got to plan for that. So hence the lesson plan. But it would be um, a good bit of definitely communication between the school or the teacher and the family. Constant communication about the expectations, different assignments, upcoming project goals. Just the I think it all goes back to good flat foot teaching. Um, I think that for distance learning, definitely students would need access to uh, instructional tools like Chromebooks or laptops, hotspots. I know Dr. Holmes touched on the lack of internet in some homes and how some families are having to go to restaurant parking lots in order to get internet access, Wi-Fi access. I know in a neighboring school district here, they actually send buses out into the community to um, provide students with access to Wi-Fi, and they leave them parked, during the school day, and you know, come back the next day so that they can have access. But um, distance learning, good distance learning, is definitely a holistic approach, and by that I mean it's not only the teacher and the child; it definitely involves the parent. And again, a lot of times parents are working and pulling this juggling act. But good distance learning is not the child at home by themselves, unmonitored, in front of a laptop, Chromebook, whatever, iPad for several hours a day. Um, it is. That's not good distance learning at all. But again, I think it goes back to the mindset, and for the people who are trying to make sure that they're making the most out of this unforeseen situation, those are probably the people who will go to the restaurant parking lot and make sure that their children have access, even if it is on, Christmas Wi-Fi or Papa John's or wherever, uh, uh, to Burger King or wherever. So things of that nature. So I think that's what it boils down to. Good distance teaching is similar to face to face, but with the heavy emphasis on the online platform. So you still have to have that good structured teaching in place.
And let me add to this. With the facilities or school districts that I do work with, and sometimes it's me working in the building, sometimes it's me providing resources or addressing curriculum issues. But one of the things that I always encourage is that in a virtual setting, well, no, not just virtual, any type of setting, that students have an opportunity to provide input during the instruction. So it's not always teacher, 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 90% and 10% of the students, right? It's more 50-50. Even doing direct instruction, there's still this level of engagement through questioning where I'm asking you, checking for understanding, bringing you in, allowing you to provide examples or models of what I'm talking about from your own personal experience. That means that lets students know I value who you are. So, and from the technology standpoint, using examples that connect students to who they are, their own personal experiences, their culture is so important. And those are things we can't do all the time in the classrooms with that face-to-face instruction. But if we use technology to help kids see you are a part of what we're talking about, your culture, your community, your experiences, where you live, all play into what we're talking about. I think that's the beauty of technology that we don't always embrace sometimes because we speak from our perspective and we speak from our experiences, and all of our experiences are not the same at all. So disconnected. So sometimes kids feel like they can't relate to us. And so since they can't relate to us, they can't connect to the curriculum and the content. And that's a disadvantage. And I think that's the one thing that using curriculum will do and has done for us. Research has shown that. But from a standpoint of the fact that, we just talked about many people weren't using it the way they needed to be used. So when they had to go to virtual learning, it was a big shift. It's continuing to be a big shift and a problem. And we're seeing that in the quality of instruction that our students are receiving, not even addressing all the issues that may be affecting them from the home that inhibit them from learning at the depth they need to learn at because of what they're dealing with in the home setting. And so I hear people say all the time, I would just prefer to have them here with me because I know they would learn so much more. The environment would be so much more safe, or it would be more conducive for them to address and access the information I'm giving them versus some of the distractions they have at home. So for you, moving forward, and you did say, and I agree, that education will never be the same after this, right? We will never be the same. If you look at what policymakers are writing right now, there will be an option in many places for students to work from home virtually. They will be able to log into their classes just like they are now. and they will go from teacher to teacher to teacher in a virtual space, being on that teacher's roster, taking the same assessments, but they will be doing it from home. Now, this is going to change how we homeschool because I think some parents are going to feel like, you know what? You can go to school and be in that school, but you can still be right here with me, and the responsibility of me providing the curriculum is no longer on me. But you're still in a safe space. And some people need that if they have anxiety issues, they have interaction issues, they have bullying issues, if they have physical infirmities that inhibit them from actually getting to school. This is perfect. This is perfect. And it still puts the responsibility of educating all students on the schools and not the parents. And the parents can then fall back into that supportive role. But what I want to know from you, as a coach, how do you, or what do you say to districts, or what do you say to leaders to encourage them? Because I'll say this: leadership is leadership is leadership. You've heard me say this before. It all boils down to leadership. So, how do you encourage leaders to advocate for the use of technology and to also monitor and support, not monitor and discipline, but monitor and support the use of technology, instructional technology, in their buildings or in their district?
Well, you have to have some candid conversation. And luckily, uh, the most administrators in the last school district that I worked in, the one that I'm currently in, see the need. Thank God they see the need for the technology tools and the proficiency piece for the teachers that work in the district. So um, I would have to say just the, I would say the pandemic has made it very easy. Leadership understands that times have changed, not the change they have changed, and that in order for their schools to be, um, model schools to be where they need to be, not even model schools, in order for their schools to provide to have student growth and to actually educate the students, they have to step up in the area of technology if they've not already. And like you said, a lot of schools were caught off guard by this pandemic. Not all, but most. So I think that the conversation is a lot easier to have now. That let's see, as of March, I think it was 16th, a lot of schools closed down, some opened and had to close again, and are looking on how they might reopen. But through it all, technology has been that one piece that has allowed us to stay connected with our students. Um, so I would just say for people who may have still administrators or leadership, people in leadership who don't get the vision, I think you have to make it very plain for them and just show them the amount of instruction time that is lost when children are, well, I'm sorry, the amount of gains that are lost when children's main form of instruction has been wiped away in person, face to face that way. And also the need to make sure that the teachers are proficient enough to work with the children, because a lot of times the children pick up something, try it for a while, learn it even better, master it, be able to teach the teacher and the parents and everyone else if they'll allow them to. So the conversation would be, if I had to have it with the leader, the district leader, we need to make sure that the adults are ready to work with these children who, a lot of them, if they don't possess these 21st century technology skills, they're not afraid to get out. Children aren't afraid to explore it. A lot of times it's the hesitation because we say, "Oh, well, I don't want to tear up that. I don't want to tear up that MacBook, or I can't afford to replace an iPad." So, the kids will hop on there and they know they can't break the internet, but it's the adults who feel like, if I hit the wrong button, I'm going to shut down. Make
Right.
you know. Okay, I'll stop.
I totally agree. Um, this comment has nothing to do with this conversation, but I just want to put this out here.
Oh,
If you need peanut and pecan clusters, you can reach out to Delita Holmes. She has a home bakery, and she makes some of the most delicious sweet treats.
my
you will ever wrap your lips around. From homemade cakes and pies to pecan clusters, bear claws, lemon squares. Oh my God. Something hit me in my spirit when I thought about those lemon squares. Let me tell you, they're dangerous. So you need to exude self-control when you get them. But they are delicious. Let me just say that they are very delicious. Um, and I have an amen right here from Daryl. Daryl says he loves it, and I love them too. But I have to eat them in moderation because it's not good for my health. I'm over 40. I'm trying to make sure I have somewhat of a decent lifestyle and I can maintain decent appearance. So I can't eat that stuff. But she does ship, as she said. You can reach out to her. Her website is sweetthings.wixsite.com/website. I'll put that in the comment section. That's Sweet Things because they are sweet and delicious. Sweet Things dot wixsite wixsite.com /forward slash website. So that's, oh, that's the wrong sign, but forward slash website. All right. So if you need something and you want it shipped, great pies, great cakes, homemade. I mean red velvet, traditional pound cake, lemon pound cake with glaze, key lime cake, chocolate cake, caramel cake, pecan pie, sweet potato pie, peach cobbler. Like I said, bear claws, pecan clusters, what else? Cashew clusters, and then the caramel. I don't know what they're called. I guess those are all the bear claws, I guess. But they're and pecan pies, yes. And you can even get miniature personal pecan pies. So you get the small pecan pies that you can just put a little dollop of ice cream on there, or what's that? What's that pecan ice cream with a little bit of
The,
whipped cream and just
the
go.
pecan praline.
Butter pecan. That's my mother's favorite ice cream. So imagine a pecan pie with that nice creamy goodness custard with the nicely finely ground pecans across the top, with a scoop of pecan ice cream and a little bit of um, uh, whipped cream. And if you want to be creative, just drizzle a little chocolate or caramel across the top. That'll really set it off. Just delicious. I'm going to stop right there. But this is what Daryl says. He says the moisture mouth watering with that caramel cake. It just does something to you. It's quite delicious. So that's a shameless plug for my sister. Sweet Things dot wixsite .com/website. Delicious. That was my, oh, and turtles. That's what it is. Turtles. She makes turtles too. The turtles are the nuts with the caramel and then the chocolate on top. So she makes those with pecans and cashews. I think those are only two types of nuts. But if you have a special request, just reach out to her. She can give you what you need, and you will be thoroughly satisfied. So it is 9:59, people. I am over my time, or about to be over my time. I try not to go over an hour. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, again, like, comment, subscribe, and share this with somebody. These are valuable conversations that we have every week, and I cover the gamut of topics. But I will not shy away from the fact I am an advocate for low impoverished Black and brown students across this country. I will continue to fight for equality, and I will continue to fight for equity, which is why I love consulting. I will come in and support you in your efforts to ensure that your students get what they rightfully deserve. FAPE, free and appropriate public education. It is by law your right, and I'm here to support you. Thank you so much for joining. If you're on Facebook, thank you for watching. If you're on Periscope, thank you for watching. Next week, I'm going to have another special guest, Dr. Drummer. I'm going to have you back. I'm calling you Dr. Drummer because we're going ahead and claim it. She's in her doctoral program right now, people, so we're claiming it that she will be Dr. Drummer in the next year or 2 years, 2 years. But I want to have you back because I'm going to have a conversation with a group of people called Leading, Lifting, but learning. And these are educators that have responsibility of leading others, lifting others up in the field while they're going through the process of being a learner currently themselves as they go through a program, whether it's your master's, your specialist, or your doctoral program. And the stress, and how do you navigate through that? How do you make it work? Because it can work. I'm a living witness. It can work, but it's hard. It's hard work, but it's rewarding work at the end. So thank you guys so much for watching. As I always say, stay safe and be blessed. And I will see you next time, next Thursday, 9 o'clock here at Teacher Talks. Thank you so much. Good night.